Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody, wherever you're at in the world. Hope everybody's doing well. Had a good weekend. Spoke last. This is video. We'll finish up Zechariah, chapter 12, 13, and 14. It's only a page and less than a page and a half, so this shouldn't take too long. We're speaking of the prophecy that was being spoken to Zechariah, 8 and a number of prophecies. This one begins a prophecy, the word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord, who stretches out the heavens, who lays the foundation of the earth, and who forms the human spirit within a person, declares, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. On that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. On that day I will strike every horse with panic and its rider with madness, declares the Lord. I will keep a watchful eye over Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nations. Then the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, the people of Jerusalem are strong, because the Lord Almighty is their God. And this to relate easily to Revelations, where Lord, all the world and the nations of the world, at least that part of the world, are going to come against Israel. It's been building and building and building, with other powers that be behind them, driving them forth. Could be China, could be North Korea, could be Iran, Russia, who knows? But it's been mentioned or alluded to in Revelations that Israel will defeat the hand of God, will defeat them all. On that day, I will make the clans of Judah like a firepot in a woodpile, like a flaming torch among sheaves. They will consume all the surrounding peoples right and left, but Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. The Lord will save the dwellings of Judah first, so that the honor of the house of David and of Jerusalem's inhabitants may not be greater than that of Judah. On that day, the Lord will shield those who live in Jerusalem, so that the feeblest among them will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of the Lord going before them. On that day, it will set out to destroy all the nations that attack Jerusalem. The nations of earth are going to fall one by one. Chaos is going to arise sooner than people think. My lifetime, your lifetime, again, what's God's time? And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son. On that day the weeping in Jerusalem will be as great as the weeping of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. The land will mourn, each clan by itself, with their wives by themselves, the clan of the house of David and their wives, the clan of the house of Nathan and their wives, the clan of the house of Levi and their wives, the clan of Shimei and their wives, and all the rest of the clans and their wives. So, referencing what's coming soon there to Israel, and referencing Jesus, and referencing the diaspora, referencing the Revelations as well. So one prophecy from these prophets does not pertain to just one moment in time in history. It pertains to one or the Revelations, or multiple times up to Revelations. Chapter 13. On that day a fountain will be opened to the house of David, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, to cleanse them from sin and impurity. This fountain be of spiritual nature, possibly, most likely. On that day I will banish the names of the idols from the land, and they will be remembered no more, declares the Lord Almighty. I will remove both the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land, removing all darkness and false prophets. And if anyone still prophesies, their father and mother, to whom they were born, will say to them, you must die, because you have told lies in the Lord's name. Then their own parents will stab the one who prophesies. They actually stab them, or just some form of rejection or casting them out. I don't know. Again, you can't take everything verbatim. Speaking of the false prophets, evangelists, false priests, so on and so forth. Awake. I'm sorry. On that day, every prophet will be ashamed of their prophetic vision. They will not put on a prophet's garment of hair in order to deceive. Each will say, I am not a prophet, I am a farmer. The land has been my livelihood since my youth. If someone asks, what are these wounds on your body? They will answer, the wounds I was given at the house of my friends. So in other words, they'll cast off their garments and try to disguise themselves. Awake, sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is close to me, declares the Lord Almighty. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. In the whole land, declares the Lord, 2/3 will be struck down and perish, yet 1/3 will be left in it. This third I will put into the fire, I will refine them like silver, and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. What did Jesus say later? The time comes. Two farmers will be working out in the fields. One will be taken, one will not. Two women will be working at their weaving. One will be taken, one will not. That's 50% there. He mentioned other times it will be 2/3 will be taken, only 1/3 will remain. So those who truly believe won't be taken right away, but they will have to go through purification. Does that mean all the other ones aren't going to make it to heaven? Yeah, they'll still be going to judgment. Chapter 14, the day of the Lord is coming, Jerusalem, when your possessions will be plundered and divided up within your very walls. Diaspora. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations as he fights on the day of battle. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, with half of the mountain moving north and half moving south. You will flee by my mountain valley, for it will extend to Azel. You will flee as you fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. So Israel will be attacked. The Lord will defend them, nations, but there's going to be suffering within Jerusalem, within the people of Israel. And then there'll be the Lord will help bring them up out, just like he did in Egypt. On that day, there will be neither sunlight nor cold, frosty darkness. It will be a unique day, a day known only to the Lord, with no distinction between day and night. When evening comes, there will be light. On that day, living water will flow out from Jerusalem, half of it east to the Dead Sea, and half of it west to the Mediterranean Sea, in summer and in winter. So it's going to be not just one day, it's going to be spread out. Again, what's a day to God? The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day, there will be one Lord, and his name the only name. The whole land from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, will become like the Arabah. But Jerusalem will be raised up high from the Benjamin gate to the site of the first gate to this corner gate, from the tower of Hananel to the royal wine presses. It will remain in its place. It will be inhabited, never again will it be destroyed. Jerusalem will be secure. So will it be Eden, or the whole world be Eden? That will be establishment, the central location of his temple again, his glory residing in the world. We will see. This is the plague with which the Lord will strike all nations that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are still standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. There can be any number of plague diseases. On that day, people will be stricken by the Lord with great panic. They will seize each other by the hand and attack one another. Judah too will fight at Jerusalem. The wealth of all the surrounding nations will be collected. Great quantities of gold and silver and clothing. A similar plague will strike the horses and mules, and camels and donkeys, and all the animals in those camps. Poor things. Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. If any of the peoples of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, they will have no train. To worship the King, the Lord Almighty, they will have no rain. If the Egyptian people do not go up and take part, they will have no rain. The Lord will bring on them the plague he inflicts on the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. On that day, in other words, all those who do not turn to the Lord, that still reject him, are going to suffer for it. On that day, holy to the Lord, will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like the sacred bowls in front of the altar. Every pot in Jerusalem and Judah will be holy to the Lord Almighty, and all who come to sacrifice will take some of the pots and cook in them. And on that day, there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord Almighty. Who do the Canaanites descend from? I believe that's one of the sons of Abraham, or of Jacob, or Jacob's brother, one of Isaac's sons. I forget offhand who Canaanites descended from. But again, they're all from Abraham, they're all from Noah. They all fight against each other. Crazy, 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 crazy. Those of Islam, those of Hebrew, those Christians, all from the same ancestor. So it's crazy, 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 crazy. So I hope you got something out of that. Then the next one we go to, I believe, is more short ones that we will pick up on. Micah, Habakkuk, Zephaniah. No, these are all real short ones, so we'll get through them real quick. Haggai, which is only a page and not even a page and a half, so we'll get through that one next time. So as always, until next time, look to the Lord for all things directly. Peace of Christ. God bless.